Jim Lampley joining me here now on the Rich Eisen Show. Now that the ink is literally dried, finally, on this contract that's been signed as of yesterday, because we haven't found anywhere there has been officially announced that you're going to call this fight, Jim. So you are going to call this fight, correct? This fight will be called by Jim Lampley.
Well, I'm assigned to call the fight.
Okay, good.
I have travel arrangements to Las Vegas.
Very good.
I have a schedule which involves a rehearsal with Al Bernstein and Roy Jones next Thursday.
Okay.
I'm hosting the weigh-in show on Friday.
Very good.
So I have every reason to believe, yes, that I am, in fact, calling the fight. But you are correct that there has been no official announcement. And I'm not sure that there is going to be any particular official announcement. I have a hunch that it's quite possible that Al and Roy and I are just going to sort of show up extemporaneously on camera and do this gig.
Well, does this speak to just how the residue of how difficult it was to put this fight together, Jim, and how many years it's taken to get these two parties to say, yes, let's touch gloves?
I think it speaks to that, and it also speaks to the residue of a battle for control that hasn't ended. Everybody wants to have their normal element of control, whether you're the promoter for one of the fighters or manager of one of the fighters, et cetera, and nobody does because this is a unique organism which was created through an utterly unique negotiating process. There hasn't ever been anything exactly like it. No one fighter, I believe, has ever had so much control over a major event as Floyd Mayweather has over this particular event. So it's different, and yes, everything to do with it, including the fact that no announcement has been made as to who's calling the fights, proceeds from exactly that factor.
Wow. Jim Lampley joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So what are you expecting to happen in that ring in a couple of Saturdays, Jim?
Oh, and what I'm expecting to happen is that both fighters will show up in tremendous shape and try to fight their fight. And they have two very different styles. Pacquiao is a classic attacker and a dynamic, multi-talented, very diversely equipped attacker in terms of the weapons he has and what he can do in the ring. And Mayweather is sort of the ultimate sophisticated defender. He's a guy who turns your faucet off in a variety of ways, and better than almost anybody has ever been able to do it. And so I fully expect to see Manny Pacquiao trying to use all of his offensive weaponry to pierce Mayweather's veil in a way that no one has been ever able to do. And I expect Floyd to be trying to exert the kind of defensive control that he has exerted against every opponent so far.
We had Mike Tyson on the show about a month ago, and he said that Mayweather has never fought somebody like Pacquiao, and he's never ever stepped in the ring with somebody who could throw as many punches in such a minimal amount of time at him, quite like Pacquiao. Where do you stand on that subject, Jim?
I think that's a fair statement. I also think it's equally fair to say that Pacquiao has never fought a defender as skillful as Mayweather and never fought somebody who would be as capable as Mayweather ought to be, blunting his basic offense and forcing him to try other options. So I expect to see adjustments all along the way in the fight, and because of the style matchup and the way it works, mostly it's going to be Freddie Roach and Manny Pacquiao trying to find those adjustments which will force Mayweather out of his controlled envelope. And again, nobody else has ever been able to do it. I called the one most threatening moment of Floyd Mayweather's career when Shane Mosley hit him with a giant right-hand shot in the second round of their fight and then caught him with another follow-up right hand seconds later and really appeared to have him in big trouble. And that happened in the second round of a 12-round fight. And Mosley never came close to landing another punch like that in the remaining 10 rounds, not anywhere close. And I asked Shane, why did that happen? Why is it that you were not able to sustain what you built against him in the second round? And he said he made a little adjustment in his footwork, and I couldn't find him after that. So Floyd is a genius. He has remarkable understanding of what's going on in the ring, and he's a master both tactically and psychologically. And none of that is built on his desire to entertain you. unless, of course, you're the kind of ultra-sophisticated boxing fan or you're a trainer yourself and you can appreciate the intricacy of what he does. A lot of average fans sit back and wonder, well, why doesn't Canelo go after him? It's not that easy, and it's not going to be that easy for Manny either.
Voice of HBO Boxing, Jim Lampley, joining me here. Jim, you know the sports world better than anybody else, not just boxing. And you know what world we live in. You know also in this arena, MMA, UFC, there's BKB here on DirecTV. It's so difficult for any sport in many ways outside of the NFL to just cut through the static. Do you believe this is the last time we might see two fighters capture the fancy boxing? Capture the fancy of the United States and garner a three-figure price tag for watching it, for fans just to throw down $100 to sit in their homes to see a fight. Do you think this is the last time we're going to see this, Jim?
I guess there's a scenario by which this could be, quote, the last time, but the 125-year history of boxing says there's never a last time. It remains the most easily communicable elemental sport because not many of us can really understand what it means to play right guard or power forward, but almost all of us, particularly all of us males, have had a fist fight at some time in our lives or have thought that we're going to have a fist fight at some time in our lives. So, more than with any other sport, the average Joe sits down on the sofa, watches two guys square up against each other and get ready to fight and thinks, I know what's going on here. I understand it. Whether you really do or not, you have a sense that you think that. So there's something inside the soul of the sports fan that's always looking for this simplest and most fundamental confrontation that he can understand deep in his soul and wants to see two fighters portray it. And then the question is, do the characters emerge? I mean, these two characters have emerged and developed and built up over a very long period of time. And, yeah, it might be years. And there's a shortage now of quality instruction and gym opportunities, et cetera, in the United States, so that ultimately the next giant confrontation of this nature might be a battle between a Cossack and a Russian that takes place in Hamburg. Mm-hmm. It might not be an American thing in Las Vegas. But if you pin me to the wall and say, do you ever expect to see this again? I would have to say, yes, I do. Because my experience is nothing is the last time. There's always something that eventually comes along that's bigger.
Jim, thanks for calling in. You got your tux picked out? You going tux for this?
I have a method of making myself look as though I have a tuxedo on, and I defy you to tell me that I don't. But it might be a black suit with a bow tie. Don't tell anybody, Rich.
Jim, thanks so much for calling in. Appreciate it.
All right, my privilege. Talk to you later on.
Oh, no, same for us. Jim Lampley, voice of HBO Boxing.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.